Hi everyone and welcome back. I hope that you are having a wonderful time as we are coming on tonight for the final live premiere in this series of live premieres. I'm going to be taking a very short hiatus from live premieres to go back to the drawing board and look into some new content. I have a lot of things that I'm really excited to get together. I'm trying to really work with the Pisces season energy as well as the oncoming astrological new year, which I will make a standalone video about when that time gets closer. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel with the notifications turned on. But yes, as for a quick update before we get into the video, there are a lot of new things that I'm really excited to be putting together and working on. I believe that I'm going to make a podcast. And I'm hoping to do some updates with my audio and just, kind of try to upgrade and optimize my output here on YouTube. I'm going to be reimagining the monthly readings as well, and kind of doing a pretty large update to what this looks like, though it will still be rooted in pretty much how it is now. There are a lot of things that I feel that I need to do as we recently hit a very incredible milestone, and I just kind of want to take some time back for the rest of this Pisces season, work on some other aspects of life, and really make sure that I'm sitting with, the channel and understand what it needs to be in the future. So if you have any requests or if you have any input for, the channel, I did a survey this time a few months ago, which I'll go ahead and link that survey below if you guys didn't have a chance to do this survey, because I really want to understand what the subscriber base is wanting and make sure that I'm really in tune with that, because I think that is the most viable and important way to continue is to, really honor and understand where you guys think the channel is. And, I talked about everything in the surveys from what types of content you want to see to how your experience of ad integration is. I went all into that to really try to get feedback. You can also comment below though, as I do try to read all the comments on YouTube, but I'll link the survey below. What else do I need to talk about before we get into the video? So first of all, this space is magical, and what we've created here through these live premieres has really fostered a lot of growth and strength in community for all of us, and that has really been one of the most beautiful things that I have ever witnessed in my life, growing together and growing in tandem with you all. And thank you so much for that from the bottom of my heart. If you've wanted to get more of our, community time, we have an incredible community on Discord. I'm going to link the Discord below as well. Then, of course, we come together through live premieres. How you can get updates. So I post updates on the community tab of this YouTube channel. I also post updates on the Discord as well as on Twitter and on the Patreon page. I'm looking though to create an even better sort of infrastructure of updates though during my hiatus, so that's going to be something that I'm looking into. I'll probably put together an email list, and I also plan on maybe branching out to some other platforms because I've been super focused on YouTube, which has been wonderful, but also it's important to have a variety. That's something that I'm going to be talking about a lot in this video, is the importance in variety in your life and not getting hyper focused into one thing or another. So yes, I'm going to be working on that as well. But yes, I'm going to put together a huge, sort of glossary of resources for you in the description box. So all you have to do is click the show more button if you're on desktop, and I think you click the title or tap it if you're on mobile or iPad, and it will display. And I'm going to link the Discord, Twitter, the community tab, notifications for YouTube. One of the hardest things about being a content creator is making sure that people who want to be notified are notified. It seems to be like rocket science to really figure that out. So thank you guys for bearing with me as I talk around it. But yeah, be sure to check the description box. I'll try to do a community tab post or mirror it on the community tab post as well. The way that you get to that is by clicking on the channel, and there are a lot of subsections, and you can click community, and there's the community tab. I know most of you already know exactly how this works, but you'd be surprised at how many comments I get where people are like, what's a community tab? How do I get to that? And even sometimes when you break things down really far like this, people still can't figure it out. So I'm trying to really, because I know that not everybody knows how YouTube works. Some of us know more than others. So if you've wanted to really involve yourself more in this incredible community of spiritually focused and healing oriented, self-healing and motivationally inspired community. Be sure to check out that list of resources below. But yes, this is our final live premiere, so I just wanted to kind of give you guys a brief update on where things with the channel are standing. Again, thank you so much for 100,000 subscribers. It's still like ringing in my ears. I can't believe that it happened, and I'm so hopeful that I will build something even better and provide even more healing and motivational content for you in the future. But okay, let's really talk about this oncoming period of time. What am I going to be talking about in this video? Well, I'm going to put together a few chapters. I really enjoy doing chapters in videos now. And rather than making so many videos about different content, what I actually enjoy is to make comprehensive videos now. It really helps me on time, and that's what I'm kind of looking at moving forward as well. Even though you do better on YouTube by doing a million different videos and, you know, it's better for like the algorithm, I think that it's better for you all and better for me, comprehensive videos with chapters. I think that it saves a lot of time. There's a lot for everybody in every video, and I just think that it's a better way for me in my content. So I'm going to be talking about 4 main topics actually in this video. I'm going to talk about one astrology transit, which is going to be building up to the new moon in Pisces, and then I'm going to be talking about 3 spiritual themes that have just kind of come to me, and motivational themes as well, kind of spiritual / motivational themes. And I'm going to do the chapters, which will be linked below. So let's get into it. The first chapter, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is building up to new moon in Pisces, which is happening on March 13th. I don't think that I'm going to be making a specific video about new moon in Pisces, but I will talk about it in this video and specifically building up to it. So as we are waxing, okay, by the time you're getting this video, we're already coming past the full moon in Virgo. We're in a waxing moon phase. We're in Pisces season. This is an ending chapter beyond ending chapters. Many of us can already sense a very new beginning coming into our lives. And as we had that new wave grand Aquarius stellium that happened on February 12th, and even the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that happened back in December, there's been a sort of new wave growing in the distance. There's been a vision or dream or connection to a grander idea of who we are, a more broad perception of how we can rise to the occasion, or how we can see from much greater heights than where we previously were. To me, how that has manifested for so many has been through seeing, okay, for such a long time, I wanted this career, I wanted that relationship, I wanted to be seen in this way, through this identity, through this lens. And what happened back in December to me was that we finally consciously connected what is above that, you know. Many of us might have even fallen out of favor with previous desires, with previous culmination points. Like, if I just get to that level in my career, if I just get to that level of wealth, if I just get my relationship into this position, I will be happy, I will be satiated. And what happened over the last phase from around December of 2020 until now was basically seeing that that wasn't enough either. That just having that level, or just having, you know, this or that, is not enough to totally satiate or complete one. And a lot of us, in a way, have been dealing with a discouragement cycle over seeing that even the accomplishment of a goal, even the creation of a new pinnacle of success, that investing all of our energy and life force into those things is not the way to achieve happiness, is not substantial enough when it comes to being happy or satiated. And what I felt happen, and what is actually still currently happening right now, especially in this waxing moon phase, is that many of us are totally changing our philosophy on what success is, on what happiness is, on what connectivity with others is. No longer is it so hyper-focused. In this community, a lot of what we talk about are certain sectors of life. we talk about love, we talk about health, we talk about relationships, we talk about career, we talk about, sort of subsections in each of those. It's usually like 4 main sectors. It's like the love, health, career, and relationships. Relationships being like friendships, acquaintances, family relationships is different from like love, This system is now outdated, okay? And it kind of inspires this sort of different, thought point of like really separating these things and like, okay, now I'm focusing on my career. Now I'm focusing on my health. Now I'm focusing on relationships in my life, which leads the other sectors to go into like disrepair. And what I've understood to be the main theme of 2021 as a year is a sort of re-envisioning of everything to a degree, but also just how we focus or not focus certain things. There has to be a more well-rounded, more cumulative approach to the overarching identity beyond certain focus sectors of our lives. And what I think that we're dipping into right now is the kind of release of various toxins, release of various illnesses, diseases, differing contexts that clash, and sort of getting out of maybe unhealthy coping mechanisms of the past. It seems that not only toxins cleanse out of our body during this phase, not only do we achieve a superior level of health, but also previous ways of focusing different things in our life that lead to problems elsewhere. That, I suppose, system of focus is having an expansion of consciousness. Through an expansion of consciousness, that previous system is no longer how we kind of work through things. So I'm trying to understand this myself. It's not totally come through yet. I have a feeling that by the astrological new year, March 20th, March 21st, that this is going to kind of be like, aha, and we're going to be more conscious about it. So yeah, be sure to subscribe with the bell notifications turned on so you don't miss that standalone video that I'm going to do then. But yes, I can prepare you that the new moon in Pisces, building up to March 13th, and then March 13th through 15th, 2021, is going to be about meeting ourselves halfway and waking up to the realization that certain coping mechanisms have been coping mechanisms. Realizing that a need to overwork or a need to, have visualizations about yourself achieving something that's very outside of where you are now, that all of these things might be coping mechanisms and not necessarily helpful to the current context. I will say that visualization, okay, let's talk a little bit about visualization, because Pisces season, new moon in Pisces, deals a lot with other realities that we experience. So let's really break this down. Year of the Ox. It's all about breaking things down and simplifying things. So let's say you're working, you're in your cubicle, you're at your office desk, whatever. You're doing a certain task and it's very physical. It's very like, it's exact. You're doing accounting. I don't know. And while you're doing that accounting, you're thinking about being somewhere else in your mind. You're in Costa Rica. I don't know. You're off on some vacation. You're like, okay, I need to plan for my vacation. I can imagine myself being near the tropical waters, having an easier time of things. And that's what I would really like. But you're accounting. This is in a way the creation of a new reality. And it's also a sign that your conscious mind is trying to do a coping mechanism from your current reality. So there is a distinguishing factor here, though. There are times where we think about other experiences, and it's not just a coping mechanism. It's kind of like a way of motivating or a way of, rising to a new level of self. But if this becomes really repetitive, where like months are starting to pass and, you're sitting at the office desk doing the accounting, but thinking of something else just to get through it, I really want you guys to take this time to connect this to new moon in Pisces to understand, okay, what's the problem with the current output? If I cannot exist in this present moment, if it takes me, creating other realities or going into other worlds in order for me to get through this shift of work, or in order for me to get through something, that's something that takes on a new level of chaos after the astrological new year. So I definitely encourage you to pursue your wants and desires in healthy and appropriate ways, so that you can understand what is and is not a coping mechanism in your life. Because I'm kind of feeling that people are having a certain shine, or there's a certain shine about that Costa Rican vacation, or about, getting off into that new area, or taking on that brand new task. To the degree that if you don't pursue it, you won't see the negatives of it, or you won't see the problems with it. And in the future, if you don't pursue it, or if you don't do it, it can become a regret. Like, gosh, I never went to Costa Rica, and that's all that I ever wanted. And I could have afforded it. I could have done it, but instead I stayed at the desk doing the accounting work and never did it. Whereas had you gone to Costa Rica, there could have been a level of chaos to it, and it might not have been as perfect as you thought, but it would have been some type of necessary catalyst to get you to like the next level. So on one hand, I don't want us to really be preventing our wants and desires, but I also want us to rise above what the want and desire is, and understand that what a want or a desire is also a sign or signal that the current present reality is not connecting somewhere. We feel want and desire when there is a natural instinctual want and desire that deals with life force, it deals with the heart beating, it deals with blood flowing through the body, and solar plexus energy, and that's really positive. Like, I never want to diminish the positivity of want and desire. But there's also a point in time where want and desire not followed through on, it becomes a desperate effort of alleviation on behalf of like your chakral system to your current reality. Like feeling a really hardcore level of like crucial ambition. I actually talked a lot about this, I think, in Taurus and Scorpio's general reading for March, so be sure to check those out. And I talked about how it was more important to pursue a sense of cultivation over a feeling of like crucial change or crucial ambition. I'm feeling a lot of us, even with this new moon in Pisces, are having like the perfect experience to become like emotionally attached to a certain turnout. Like, okay, I've wanted this career, or I've wanted this, new house, or whatever I've wanted. And what you can have during this time, and this is kind of freaky, is something that can inflict an amount of suffering or pain or distrust, or, clicking about the past, clicking about a difficult experience, to like connect it to these wants and desires, which becomes a difficult experience for the soul, where it starts to associate getting places and having success and accomplishing goals and manifesting with suffering, pain, and unpleasant present moments. Do you guys get what I mean? This is powerful stuff coming through, actually. And I know in Pisces season, I've seen this before. Over the last few years that I've done this, the messages that come through during Pisces season are very jargony, very like hyper spiritual, hyper unconscious even. So it takes a bit of, riddle mapping or kind of riddleistic thought into your own experience to really work through it. But it's really important to distinguish between healthy desires and coping mechanisms through being unable to face an unpleasant present reality, and then the subsequent creation of new unpleasant cycles of pursuit that never really get out of that. But both in both situations, it can be dressed up as like, oh, this desire, oh, this nice thing, oh, this, point B to the current unpleasant point A. It's like we got to watch out for getting too linear with it. We have a huge Aquarian new wave. Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury are still in Aquarius. And what it demands is an unconventional approach to progress, an unconventional approach, a never before done or never before seen aspect of you to come through and offer a brand new type of advancement. And my concluding thoughts for what I'm feeling for the oncoming new moon in Pisces and building up to it is it's really vital to look at all of the main components of your life right now, like your main effort, like what you're putting most of your energy toward, and see if there aren't ways to kind of re-envision, or if you haven't already, optimize it a little bit more, and to the point that now you have plenty of things that you can like omit from your experience. Like omit is the key word for this new moon in Pisces. And with that free space, there should be this kind of new level of deep breath that you can achieve. The feeling of that perfect deep breath comes through enough release and enough spare energy inside to where there is the birth of like new cells, or the birth of like new life force energy, basically, through breath and through breathing. And this Pisces season, this new moon in Pisces, really wants to free up enough space so that breathing becomes more healing, okay? To where it doesn't take, the new job, the new relationship, the to heal or to feel stronger. It's just a matter of breathing. It's just a matter of knowing that you're contributing to a solid base in your life, or a solid foundation. Okay, so let's move on. The next topic that came to me that I'm going to talk about in this video is accepting new waters and working differently. Okay. So it does feel that either by this new moon in Pisces or by the astrological new year, March 20th, that many of us have moved into new waters to some degree. So what I mean by that is, if you can imagine yourself sailing on a boat, the change in region or the change in tone of the water is now distinguishable. It's now visible. The transition phase is not so strong anymore. Like, there's actually a distinctive shift in the tone of one's energetic environment now. And we're preparing that up to the new moon in Pisces and up to the astrological new year. So when you're listening to this video, it might still be a bit transitional, but I just want to prepare you that the boat essentially has moved into the new region, or if, and again, this is like a metaphor to our experiences, the change is visible, okay? So it requires a type of different energetic output too. So if you can imagine a boat, like in different types of water, it's going to be steered differently. It's going to be using resources differently. The experience of people on the boat is going to be different. In the Arctic waters, everybody's inside. It's really frigid. Everything is operated differently. Whereas in the tropical waters, it's different, So understanding that as your own vessel, or as your own body, like what needs to change? Okay, please try to get your head around it now. What really needs to get shifted up with the new environment, and how have things changed, and how do you need to change as well? So I'm seeing this manifesting really physically for some people, to the extent of like moving into a new region, or also even vacationing in a new region, but like new houses, new cars, new things that are more viable to who you are now, is a clear, potent manifestation of this insight. This isn't something that should just feel spiritual at this point in time. This isn't, because even for the last year, we felt this coming on. This isn't something that we should just kind of start to be, like, okay, I realize that maybe in the distant future, there might be a change coming. If you're in tune with the time, you should see something in your reality that has shifted. So, and something that was really status quo, something that you had forever. Like if you can imagine having the same car for like 10 years and you now have a new car and you're adjusting to that, that's possible. It doesn't have to be that physical, but there should be some aspect of it, accepting and allowing a turnover in energy, and vicariously operating differently through it. There's a shift in many parts of the life, or there's a shift in many elements of how you're dressing up, or how you're navigating, that works in tandem with a new shift, okay? All right. And with that is also a different mindset, and maybe a need to embrace an unconventional value, or something that is not so typical or so reminiscent of how things have always been in your life. A new territory, a new region, a new way of seeing the surrounding environment is really important to working with the energy well, I think. Okay, and the next thing that I'm going to talk about is Okay, allowing toxins to leave you. So we touched on this already a little bit with the new moon in Pisces video, but as many of you know, Pisces season is the ultimate time to really cleanse and to get purified and to understand the purity and the opacity of your auric field. Okay, so Pisces season, all the water seasons, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, are really viable times of the year, really viable seasons to observe your auric field. How, clear, pure, and opaque is it? Are there some energetic tears or some amount, how an energetic tear or like fissure or distortion of your auric field, how that channels through is through like anxiety, chronic illnesses, accidents, fears, paranoias, mistrust, like not trusting people around you, not trusting what you've created, worrying that everything will like fall through. I'm just kind of talking around how an auric disruption can manifest into physical reality. So here's what I would do. I would kind of make a basket. This is what's coming up for me. Like what I saw as a psychic image was a basket full of notes. So almost if you could like note down every problematic aspect of your life over the last year. All of those things can now be washed clean and need to kind of be put into a basket and shuffled up. And I'm serious. Some of you might do this, like actually do this in reality, on Post-it notes or on little pieces of paper, each individual problem like that. Put it in, shake it up, and get an idea of a physical idea of all of the problems in front of you, or all the things that you've experienced as, not really where you want to be, or not how you want to live your life, and get an idea of it. And that can be overwhelming in the beginning, like, oh my gosh, well, I didn't realize how many disruptions there are in my auric field. I didn't realize how many toxins there are in my body. But it's like once you get a physical representation of it through like journaling or through accountability of the self, that's so great right now. I think that it becomes more motivating to actually get out of it. And also some of it is just not feasible. Some of it is just not maintainable. You'd be surprised at how much energy goes into like the maintenance of grudges, the maintenance of paranoias, the maintenance of beliefs that are a danger to your own progress and seen as some type of like, uncontrollable or totally out of your control, like unconscious anxiety. And what the beauty of this time is with this really innovative, like new, unconventional, healing through unexpected, vicarious ways. Like I think the energy of Jupiter and Saturn and still Mercury and Aquarius at this time, what it offers us is a new path, new fields of focus that can vicariously heal these things up. But I think that we've got to be aware of it, and we've got to be clear on all of the auric disruptions that are here and are real still, and focus on the healing of those things clearly, okay? And, a detox, beautiful for detox. I love like apple cider vinegar, lemon, detoxes like that. Look it up, do some research into it. I think are, perfectly timed right now. And, whatever you've had success with in that way, it might be really nice to remind yourself that, just the toxicity of the digestive system can be such a problem, okay? The types of food, the times of day of eating, these simple sixth house things determine so much of our livelihood. So do think about that, okay? The last point that I am going to touch on, we've already kind of gone into this a little bit, but preparing to be more dynamic in your environment. So themes of rigidity, stability even, become quite stagnant right now. There's a need to be more dynamic, to be available at all times to some degree, to be available for insight, for when those truly healthy desires hit you, for when you have those very solar plexus oriented time, especially coming towards the end of the month, when you have like that rush, that push to figure it out. It's like those pushes, those instinctual, nearly sources of energy that will just hit us sometimes at random parts of the day, can for some people be like the only thing that starts to purify their experience. Like you might have these old looming things from the previous Capricorn year, like, gosh, it was successful, it did well, but it's just so heavy to take on also. Those things need refinement and optimization and calibration now. And I feel that it comes through a dynamic connection to our current environment where we're not necessarily, so as an example, if you're a songwriter, if you're a songwriter that planning out a time to write songs doesn't work. Planning out a time to paint that picture. Okay, at 8 p.m. Friday, the 17th of April, I'm going to write that song. It doesn't work. Like that's like when the worst material comes out as songwriters. Like that's it. You sometimes get woken out of your sleep. All the songwriters in the crowds will know what I'm talking about here. The best material kind of usually wakes you out of your sleep, or you wake up with the impetus to understand how to move forward. Or it just comes at a very random time. And that is a big part of Aquarius and Pisces energy are, what is that? What is that force operating through us? What is that human capability to suddenly be driven to create or to emotionally perceive a new manifestation in order to totally revamp and change your life in some way? That's really the only way that a lot of us can overcome the burdensome, heavy, earthy Capricorn energy of the previous year, because that's not relevant anymore. So I will kind of prepare some of you for that. It's not this way for every single person. It depends on the chart. It depends on where you're at with things. But I would be weary of over planning, of doing certain things at a certain time always. I know this is hardcore, especially for, me. I had that whole Capricorn transit in 2020 go through my 6th house. So I got like super organized in a way with that. And now that's no longer relevant in a way. Like this Aquarian energy is very unconventional. For those of you who don't know, Aquarius is the sign of like, disorganization, detachment from status quo, tendencies, status quo, organizational capacity. It's totally, in a way, shattered by Aquarian energy, and it is replaced by a dynamic, energy source related, forward momentum that is done in an unconventional, unprecedented, and, in a way like rebellious type of sense. So don't be surprised with this energy if you're like doing that really status quo thing, like, okay, I'm at my 9-to-5 job, I'm doing my accounting or whatever, and now I have the urge to like jet off over here and like buy a house somewhere and rent it out. Or I have like this urge to like write this song right when I need to like get to that meeting. And this is discombobulating for a lot of people. Like, whoa, I never thought that I would, be a business owner. I never thought that I would, do an album of songs. I never realized how easy that actually was to do on my own. I never gave any thought to the potentiality of, doing circus, like auditioning for Cirque du Soleil or something. Like it's like so many people doing these status quo organization stuff, and because they're doing it, they're getting the insight to do like these wild things, which could not have come without the organizational stuff. And it is confusing, it is discombobulating, and it's harsh for a lot of people from the standpoint of like a lot of people just got their lives together, a lot of people just got security and stability, and Aquarius just doesn't really support that stuff. Like it's not a pre-planned, organized, security-oriented sign so much. I mean, there are aspects of it that are, but its motivation comes from the rejection of those things, and then it recreates a new type of structure on the other side, as Aquarius did previously used to be ruled by Saturn. So there's a part of it that is structured, but it's more like the structuring of opposing impulses. So that moment when you're sitting down to the accounting and you want to write the song, that maybe becomes a structure. Like now that's the stimulus. Like every time you sit down to do this thing, you have like an impulse to do something else, and that in a way is repetitive, and it is a routine in and of itself. But it's frustrating for some people, but for some people it's really magical. And to wrap up on this point, it takes a dynamic mindset. Because it really does not mean that we need to quit the 9-to-5 job. It does not mean that we need to quit what we're doing. It does not mean that what we're doing is wrong because we're getting an impulse to do something else while we're doing it. It requires a dynamic understanding, like, okay, I got this impulse while I was doing that, but I can actually do that afterwards, or I can, start to enjoy the process of getting new impulses because it means that I have unchanneled life force and more energy to do what I had never considered doing before. There's a lot of positive ways to channel it, which I'm still trying to understand myself too. Okay, and with this message, just as a more like simple physical manifestation, I'm feeling that a lot of people are a lot of different places. So it might be a little bit hard or feel a little bit unnatural to stay put in that one house, in that one room all day, every day. That's pretty tough right now. And I'm kind of in that boat too, like where I'm really busy. And so let me know in the comments below how you're feeling about this too. And I've kind of, I've really wanted to travel. And I know for many of us, it's like, we still don't know when traveling is right. And we're trying to, that's also working in tandem with this. But I'm sensing that a lot of people are a lot of different places. And maybe it's just in the mind. Maybe it reverts to the mind like, okay, I want to do this, that yesterday, But I feel that a lot of people are called to, it could be as simple as like visiting loved ones or being places that you're accustomed to in different slots of time, but it requires an amount of movement. I've got to say, like, this transit really requires some degree of movement. And if it's not right for you in your location, like, you can get creative with this and make it like, movement of thought, movement of furniture, movement of, taxes that you're not up to date on, getting things up to date, really accomplishing things, moving your debt, finishing with debt, like paying debts off, acquiring things that you've needed. Like, that's another form of movement that's very valid right now. But then for a lot of people, I do feel that it's physical, like experiencing new terrains, experiencing new regions, experiencing something they never have before. Something you've never experienced before is born during this time. So even if it's not happening right now, I sense that a lot of people maybe schedule it right now, like you schedule that vacation or you schedule that tour, even if you can't do it right now, and they start to manifest it, okay? So be prepared that through this dynamic connection to your environment, a new experience that you may have no context with may manifest as a result. And don't be afraid of that. Like, enjoy that. Like, wow, the universe trusts me enough to give me something brand new that I have no idea how to do. And it doesn't really feel like traditional. It doesn't feel that many people have come about this way. But through that, there is also a great deal of new energy that is very fertile. It's very fertile because it's not been done before. It's almost like a new breed of flower or something. A new breed of rose is being born through this. Like, and it's the most beautiful. It's the most eccentric. Like, it's maybe an odd looking rose, but it's new and it's very requited in a way because of how different it is. So that's kind of the energy that I'm feeling for that. But yes, let's wrap up this general time now. I've talked about these 4 themes that are coming in. I'm just jotting down the timestamp. Okay, so what's a concluding note that I need to talk about as we're kind of wrapping up? And this is our last live premiere, so I'm like, gosh, I just don't want to let it go. And I just love doing them so much that I don't want to end the video. But I would say that as we're still in Pisces season, there are not really words. Like, words can only encapsulate like 20% of the ordeal. You've really got to feel it through. You need to hold space for yourself. You need to give yourself time, like open time as much as possible during Pisces season, and exploring aspects of life that you've never explored before. not limiting yourself from any types of goals, while also not forcing yourself to only let it be in your mind. Like, can you start pursuing that now? Are you already pursuing it in ways that you didn't realize? It feels that everything that you've done this far can contribute to what you're creating now. It feels like nothing has been in vain. It feels like even those things that you're like getting a lot of like emotional energy on the other side of, like difficult breakups, difficult connecting points, chapters of your life that once felt forlorn have not been, that has been in some way an illusion or in some way a coping mechanism to feeling just like out of the path, to feeling sidelined, and that every single chapter, every single experience connects together as some type of more broad connecting point in and of itself to this higher goal, this higher desire, this higher new vision of yourself that you have. And there is no limit to it to some degree. Limitations are a part of this life, but our connection to the theme of what limitations are is something that really changes now. So of course there are people still having those Saturn transits, still having those Saturn Sun, Saturn Moon, Saturn return transits, where limitations are to some degree the central focus. But I will say that even those limitations, it's a good time for a Saturn transit in this way, because even those limitations are blunted a little bit. So everybody, what really is the antonym of limitation? I've got to look this up. I love language. Okay. Limitation antonym. Okay, so according to Oxford Languages, the antonyms for limitation are extension and increase. I'm going to look a little bit further because I don't love those words. Opposite: advantage, liberation, support, allowance, aid, freedom, opening, extent, range, release, infinity, help. Okay, so those are really good words to think about this time, actually. Antonyms of limitation. So repeating some of those again: advantages, openings, releases. We talked about release so much. Permission, support. What else is there? Let's see what else there is. Yeah, that's all that I'm seeing. But those are all really good words to think about how you can connect to a better life. Because I think that that's all that we're doing here on this channel, is we're trying to emotionally and linguistically create like better lives for ourselves. And through thinking in these motivational ways, we are really doing it. And we are really standing together and creating, better lives, stronger lives, knowing that regardless of what happens, we have a sort of like mantra or a sort of understanding of life's ebb and flow. But I really feel that in general, right now, we are more so in the flow than we are in the ebb. Like things are really flowing. Things are really changing. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we get to like April, May of 2021, coming past the astrological new year and moving into that time, I would not be surprised if many of us do not have a totally different, totally more increased, more maximized lifestyle and just general foundation beneath us to just like flow and enjoy and find support and find connection and find new things. Okay, so try to really think about how that might come in for you and allow it. It's not just thinking about it, but it's also like allowing a better life is a big part of this time too. So do think about that. And I've so enjoyed putting this video together, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. There will be more live premieres coming in the future. I love doing it seasonally. I started these live premieres back during the time that we were all at home during the pandemic. And that brought us together in just the most beautiful way. And it is an example of how even during like dark crisis-oriented times, there are things that emerge and there are things that empower you for the future, regardless of what you go through. So even if you're in a dark phase right now, even if you feel like there is no way to escape the current chain of events, understand that even during those times, there are things that manifest that can be empowering if you let them be. There's no such thing as a disempowered person, regardless of their circumstances, because even though it sometimes takes time, even though it takes choice and it takes changes in society even to realize power in a very outward way, there is something beyond those. There are forces that are beyond those types of constraints, and everybody to a degree will have access to those now. So thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to check the description box below. I've got a whole glossary of things for you guys there to stay updated with the channel. I will be doing standalone videos that will be going up here and there at different times. So make sure that you have the bell turned on in your subscription. Otherwise, YouTube won't notify you and you won't even know that these videos are coming out. So it's right by the red subscribe button. You can click on the bell and choose to get all notifications. And I really recommend that you guys turn on notifications because I'm not going to be on a routine of posting for a little while, and I don't want you to lose track with the channel. But also another way to keep up to date is in the description box. Definitely sign up for the Discord page because we have an incredible community of people who are so great, so great. It's magic to have people who are interested in astrology and motivation and self-healing, all kind of working together to create better lives and more healing in each other's lives. So check out the Discord. I will also be posting on Patreon throughout my entire time away. So if you guys have been considering the Patreon page, I would definitely recommend that you sign up for it now. It's a great time of the year. The astrological new year always brings in some really fresh content. So it's very reasonable, and there are very low tier prices. You can pay whatever you like on Patreon, but it's the way that this channel is supported mainly because this is a universally free content through YouTube, which means that you get to totally watch us for free. It is the central root of everything that I'm doing right now here in YouTube and making these videos. So if you wanted to support it, or if you wanted to, get more content as well, I do weekly forecasts every week, and I'm going to be doing those continuing on even during hiatus. So if you want more of this during this time, check out the Patreon page. Totally not necessary, only if you want extra. So on that note, I am going to wrap up, everyone. Thank you so much for this second series of live premieres and making it such a resounding, wonderful community experience. And I am so excited to move into the future. Wish me luck on perhaps creating a podcast and on making these videos even better. Thank you so much, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful time of Pisces and Aries season. Keep those notifications turned on. Much love. See you soon. Bye.